Hello everyone, my name is Wakusa and today I'm going to be showing you guys a very interesting little moneymaker that's popped up that I have recently found that I wanted to share with you guys, and it involves making Sunfire runes. Of course, if you've checked the Wikipedia for different money-making methods revolving around skilling, you've probably already bumped into this, and I'll go to switch to a screen capture and drag it on screen for you here. So it says that theoretically, the number of trips per hour expected is roughly to be 55 trips per minute, and you can make roughly 1.82 million GP per hour making Sunfire runes using twisted extracts and Sunfire splinters. So, I have a couple of comments on this, but we're going to be working on this and I'm going to be showing you guys today how to do this significantly better. There are a lot of requirements for this. Of course, you need to have the Raiments of the Eye is going to be a requirement basically for this money-making method. You have to do DT2 to get access to these twisted extracts, which I will show you how to get if you've done the quest. And you'll get a decent amount of Runecrafting XP as well. It's not great, but it's definitely not bad, and you can use Dale Essence here, I believe, to get better XP rates if you wish. So, note here that it does say the closest bank to an altar is the one west of the bazaar. Running from this bank and back takes about 60 seconds, which is why it says your average trips per hour is going to be roughly 55. That is weak shit. We will be doing significantly more than 55 trips per hour, and I'm going to show you how. But I'm going to show you the whole process start to finish, grab a few items, and I'm going to show you guys the profit that I'm going to be making in this time. So I actually already have 500 Sunfire Splinters bought here for 357k. So we're going to go ahead and keep that in mind. 357k has been spent on Sunfire Splinters. We bought 500. We'll use these over the course of this video. And the next thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go to Guardians of the Rift. We're going to go to Guardians of the Rift because we want to get our Twisted Extract. So there is a portion of this money-making method that is rather AFK, which revolves around using the Scar Essence Mine. You have to talk to an NPC and he'll explain the entire process to you as to what to do, but you don't need to talk to him or read it or you have to talk to him, but you don't have to read it. I'll tell you exactly what you're going to be doing. So the twisted extracts that we're going to be getting from the Scar Essence Mine are basically just used mostly for Iron Men to basically make runes without having to do shop hop methods, which are very annoying. And it's a very neat method overall. So we are now going to go there. And if you've never been here before, I'll show you how to get there from here. Basically, what you have to do is go to like Leviathan, as if you're going to go die to Leviathan like I do. And once you get here, you're going to jump over this rock in particular to enter the Scar Essence Mine. Alrighty, now once we're in, we are going to, you normally have to talk to this NPC, but basically what this whole little minigame revolves around is we just need to click on this rock, it'll start mining this rock, and you'll get these little essence chunks. You then deposit them into this. The big ones seem to mine one tick faster, but they do deplete pretty quickly, so just keep that in mind. So theoretically, mining the big ones is the way to go, and you'll see we have some chunks stored. You'll also notice that theoretically, or not theoretically, but as you mine these and turn them in, you actually get 5 times, in essence, the amount that you actually mined. So something to keep in mind, you're actually going to get them pretty quick. I have 31,000 stored up. Cool. So what do we actually do with the Scar Essence Mine? We have to get these twisted extracts. So what I'm going to do is you have to deposit money into this copper, which I'm going to go ahead and deposit. Oh, let's do... we're going to need 1,000 of these, so we're going to do 6 mil. 6 million GP into the copper. So we're going to add that to our cost of 6 mil, so 6,000k, so 6.357 has been spent so far. Then we're going to withdraw from this here orifice. We're going to be withdrawing twisted extracts. We're going to want all 1,000 of them. Boom. So now we've pretty much gotten most of what we need for this money-making method. But I am going to show you guys a little something. So the way that the wiki actually has you guys doing this, if you're in the Fortis area, which I will go ahead and move over there now. Of course, it's the Varlamore expansion, so it's down here. The wiki references using this Shrine of Ralos and running all the way up to the bank and going back and forth like this to get to where you need to go to do this little, you know, I guess process, right? We're not going to be doing that. We'll be doing a slightly different method that's going to be roughly twice as fast because it does reference it takes about a minute to run there and back, and honestly, it's going to take a lot of effort because, of course, then you have to deal with, like, running times, you have to deal with staminas and stuff like that. We're not going to be messing with that at all. Instead, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using Renew, our absolute Chad of a Quetzal, and he's going to come pick us up. So this is going to be the process start to finish. And I'm going to be talking about some stuff involving this, of course, while I do the trips and make this 1,000 essence. It shouldn't actually take that long, so you don't have to worry. You're not going to have to wait that long. But basically, we're going to get here. We're going to use the fire runes on the altar. We're going to unpack our essence. Fire runes on the altar. Fire runes on the altar. Awesome. Teleport back to Camelot and repeat. So, what the fuck actually just happened? So we're actually going to move our interface up here so we can click a little bit easier back and forth. Teleport back with Renew. This is the Quetzal Whistle. You get this from doing the Hunter's Rumors. I recommend getting the perfected one. It's not expensive to buy. And you use it to teleport here to the Hunter's Guild, which puts you right next to Renew, who will fly you where you need to be. And also, we're going to have the menu entry swapper plugin on RuneLite so that we can actually change our left click on Renew to travel to the last destination. I'm in the wrong place here. If you don't have the menu entry swapper, it's a very powerful plugin that allows you to change your left click options with certain things, which is just a generically really disgustingly good plugin that you're going to want to use. So I highly recommend it. But that being said, we're going to be doing this method. You can see we already have 15,000 Sunfire runes. We're making a disgusting amount, but of course we did spend 6.35 mil just to get the speed of making this many runes. Of course, you can do this without the Sunfire extract. I don't think it actually, or the Twisted extract, I don't think it actually profits the way that this does. But I haven't actually tested it because honestly, I don't think we really need to. This is going to be a really powerful money-making method, and I'll show you guys here in just a bit. So, you will find that once you have your Quetzal put together and your Quetzal site built, I'm actually going to let my pouch degrade. I'm not super concerned about it because it's only like a 5 essence loss, which isn't really that big of a deal. I'm going to set a timer after this trip of going through this process one more time. And I'm going to set a timer to show you guys how long it takes to do each individual trip. So the wiki says you're going to be doing about 55 trips per hour, making around 1.8 million GP. But of course, we are going to be doing way more than that. And we also have an extra little step at the end that should assist us in making even more GP. So as soon as I close the bank interface, or rather, as soon as I call Renew, I'm going to start the timer for this run. So we're going to bank, grab more essence, 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 call Renew, start the timer. So we'll end this timer once we call Renew again on the next trip, but we're going to be spam clicking the middle here to go to the temple, and we're going to click on our fire runes. We're going to click on the Shrine of Ralos right here. And these trips are incredibly quick, especially if you click accurately and quickly. Boom, boom, boom. And just like that, we're done. This is a very decent way of making GP. You will see here shortly. So we go essence, essence, essence. Grab that. Essence. Good. Calling Renew. Even with the misclick, we still managed to do this in 35 seconds. That's going to be well over 100 trips per hour if you're consistently doing this. And if you're better at clicking than I am, you're going to be getting even more than me, obviously. There's 3,600 seconds in an hour. So this is roughly a little over 100 trips. So this is going to be pretty good. You'll make, apparently, according to the GP calculations on the wiki, you'll be making at least like 3.6 million GP per hour, but I have a feeling we'll be making a little bit more than that. But I am going to be showing you guys pretty much I suppose, the end game of what we're actually going to do once we have made all of these essence. And it doesn't take very long to do it, but the main gist of this is pretty simple. I also do have the runes in my pouch to go to my house and then cast repair, like the contact NPC to repair my pouch. I highly recommend that. You don't necessarily want to be banking a ton or like, you know, having to go do other stuff to get this done. So having all the stuff you need in your house is pretty convenient. Of course, this is a pretty high requirement to do this method. There's a lot of things that you need to be able to do this particular method. Of course, you need the Quetz Whistle, which you have to do bare minimum 10 Hunter's Rumors, which requires some hunting levels. You have to do DT2, which is a monster of a quest on its own, or at least partially do the quest until you can get to the Scar Essence Mine. And you also need decent rune crafting levels. So you'll actually make extra Sunfire runes per trip depending on what your rune crafting level is and whether or not you have this raiment set. And I highly recommend having this set. You will get a lot more runes and will make significantly more profit. And if you have 90, I believe it's 98 or 98 rune crafting, you'll also make a lot more GP that way. But fuck that. We have 91. That's good enough for me for now. But now we're going to be coming up pretty much on our last trip here, which is awesome. And this is going to be a nice little 12-13 minute video. Not bad. Maybe 15, but we'll see what happens. So this will be our final trip probably. Boom, boom, and we're out of stuff. We'll go ahead and make what we can. So we ended up with 61,000 Sunfire runes after spending 6.357 million GP. Just price checking that on its own, we're already up to 6.89 mil. Now, that's not bad. I have to admit, on its own, that's really not that much of a problem. That's a pretty solid profit margin. Just gonna go ahead and let you guys know for reference, it took me roughly 6 minutes in video to make all of these runes. So I'll go ahead and throw some math on screen, but again, there's still a little bit more we can do here. But there is a bit of a problem. If we actually go to the GE tracker here, we'll see that, 100,000 of these runes are sold, or bought rather, every hour. We just made 61,000 of these in the span of maybe 10 minutes. And that's generous, because this is a 10-minute video and I did a lot of explanation before I actually got here to do the thing. So that's a little brutal, right? Because we're not going to be able to actually like get to sell our stuff in like a reasonable amount of time. This will take hours and hours. Although what we can do though is we can make searing pages. So searing pages also don't have a super high quantity of them being bought, but they do have a pretty sizable margin. So this item in particular goes up and down a lot. Now, will I flip merch these or will I slow sell these? No, I'm going to be doing this as quickly as I can to show you guys your profits and show you what to do. So I will not be making nearly as much GP as you will if you slow sell these items, but to make them, you're going to need to buy burnt pages. You're going to need to buy 100 or 1 per 100 runes, which currently we have 61,000 runes, so we're going to need 615 burnt pages. We'll just kind of overbuy on these because I don't really care too much about how much we're spending on them. But that is going to be 1.459 mil. So our total cost for this method is going to be 1459 plus 6,000 plus 357, roughly 7.8 million XP, or GP rather. So 7.8 million, 7.8 million. Oh, it's going to be equal to 7.8 MGP spent. That is our total price to do what we just did in that amount of time. We're going to go ahead and make all of these into searing pages, which look identical. They are now searing pages. And we're going to go ahead and toss them in the GE. And you can see here already, we're rocking a solid 9.3 mil, assuming they sell for market. Do I expect them to sell for market? No, I do not. But you could sell them for more. You could sell them for less. So let's go ahead and see what we can actually just dump sell them at. I kind of just want to sell them immediately. I'm not going to lie. So we have the low end being 14,200. But yeah, I'm just going to dump sell them and see what we get. I'm not super concerned. So it looks like we sold it all for a total of 8.7 million GP. Of course, that's pretty solid. We ended up making 900,000 coins in that time. Of course, we did insta sell them and we could have made a sizable margin by comparison if we didn't. So I'm still pretty happy with that though. We made almost 900,000 GP in like a 15-minute video, bare minimum, and I explained the whole process start to finish, showed you how to get the stuff. Of course, getting the amalgamations does take time to mine all those essences. It's a really AFK activity though, so I don't really count it in the money making because it's super dead. It's dead time. You don't really have to do too much to do it, but it does take up a significant amount of time if you're considering like just how long you're doing it. Roughly, I would consider probably about to be like a third of the time spent, if not a little bit more, is going to be spent mining. Just keep that in mind. Just something to AFK potentially. But in this video, we made a solid 900,000 GP. Of course, if we go back to those margins, interestingly enough, we did dump sell them for 14.2. We could have sold them for what it says to be 15.9. The buying quantity is only 1,400 though. So if you're making a lot of these, this isn't super good. This will take many hours to sell these at a decent price. So please keep that in mind. But if we did sell them for 15.9, we would have had a pretty price tag on this profit. So it would have actually been, let's say we go 15.9 times 0.99 because with the GE tax, times the 615 that we made, which would have been 9.6 mil instead of this 8.7. So this would have been a sizable chunk of more GP. So keep this in mind. You can make really good money dump selling these, and hopefully you guys seeing this video, seeing a 4 million GP money per hour money making method, may bring the price of these down. Please do. I would like to buy these cheap because I want to use them for Phantom Muspa. So thank you so much for watching. If you did, made it this far, go make some Searing pages and GP for me, please. Thanks. So I understand that this video does, of course, say that the money per hour is going to be 9 mil plus. And I did actually want to kind of really show you that I put my money where my mouth is, because I've actually already done this method for well over an hour last night. So I actually have in my notes here on the side that I spent last night. I did 80 million GP spent on the extracts. I had 7.382K spent on splinters and 19.1 on pages. Total cost 1.057 mil. And if we actually go to the amount that I sold all of my Searing pages for, because I did end up dump selling them at some point, we ended up making significantly more than that. I mean, right here you see this is 1.04. And then that's like, 900K. So that pretty much, this pretty much gets us to these two being the profit here, even if you want to be like, generous with that kind of stuff. It's roughly 17 mil. I made roughly 16 to 17 million GP in a little over an hour while doing this. Now, we can actually, of course, you can take my word for it, but you don't have to. I already showed you guys basically how I made 6 minutes worth of the stuff. I made 61,000 runes in 6 minutes or so, or 51,000, I believe is what it was. Oh, no, it was 61K. Cool. So I'm actually just going to run through this super quick, show you the mathematics if you really want to know. The end of this video is really just like, if you don't believe me, just watch. So I ended up, if we go to the number of Searing pages that I made and sold, because in the video earlier, you guys saw me running with 500 Sunfire Splinters. So we'll go ahead and keep this in mind. We'll make a note here. 500 Sunfire Splinters. And I used, and you can actually see in my GE history, I bought 10,000 of them. And I sold back what I had left, which was going to be a solid here 10,000, because I bought 10,000 at first. I sold back 3257 of them, which means I used a total of 6743 divided by 500. So it took me roughly 13 instances of these 6 minutes. So let's just go ahead and multiply it by 6 minutes. That's 80 minutes divided by 60, which is going to be 1.34 hours. So I spent 1.34 hours doing this. And if I, of course, divide that 17 million GP that I made, I believe it was 17 mil. Let me double check that because I don't want to be wrong here. Let's take a look. Yeah, it was about 17 million GP divided by 1.34 hours. That comes out to be roughly 12 million GP per hour. So that's what I did last night. Of course, I can go through and more thoroughly verify this with you if you really don't believe me. But basically, I went through and you can see my buys here on my burnt pages being that 19.1 mil. Of course, if you do the math here, 729 plus 756, 7. Of course, I did have to recharge my thingy multiple times when teleporting with Renu, so that does eat into the time and stuff like that. I did count that time and stuff. Of course, this directly counts that time. That being said, though, yeah, it basically net me over 10 mil an hour. This is a really powerful money-making method, and I insta-sold at some point. You can see here that the prices were slowly decreasing, 17K, 16K, 16K, and then 15, where I was dropping the price on these. How many of these can you actually actively sell before the price absolutely dips to where it's not profitable? I don't know. But I wanted to kind of throw this at the end of the video to show kind of like where or how much money you're actually going to be making if you're going to be doing this. And I wanted it to be shown that I have done this method for over an hour. I have done this method for a sizable amount of time, and this is good GP. I don't like doing money makers for long periods of time. I don't like doing the same shit over and over again. That's not what I'm here for. If I was just here to play Bankscape, I would just real world trade. Let's be realistic. If you want to be efficient with making money, that's the best way to do it. But this is a very powerful, very interesting money making method. And if you want to give it a go, give it a go. Thank you for watching.